Okay. Gonna give it a couple of seconds. I was supposed to say minutes, but I don't think that would necessarily help. Okay. Just want to see streams good and up. All right. So, just God. Okay. So I finally got all the reports. Yeah. So I was supposed to call them files, but no, reports. I got all the reports. This was a task that started not that bad at the beginning, and then I realized, oh shit, in order to get one of the reports, you have to fill out...
Let me think this through.
You gotta fill this thing out to 100.
What to do?
And then when you get 1 through 23, you get 24 right after. But in order to fill out the...
Let me think this through.
This, to get more friendship points, because side quests that give you friendship points don't give you all the friendship points. You need to do another day, and you need to do a mine dive with Rhyme. I think I showed it on screen. So it's 10 reductions, which I thought was 15 originally. It's not terrible. The last reduction is pretty rough. So what I did was I pretty much saved 300% groove in order to use the super attack, because you're the last thing you're fighting, well, the last 3 things you're fighting are 2 bears and a T-Rex, and the T-Rex, and they're all in like really high damage, so you got to take a T-Rex. And then after that, it just wasn't that bad, and you got to do it before it gets, I think you're given like 25 minutes, and once you hit like 14, I think 14 or 15 minutes, that's when it goes to silver. So you have like 10 minutes to actually get gold. But like I said, I did it. I filled this whole thing out, which is kind of unbelievable. It's cool though. So here was also another thing that I was like looking around when I was doing like the mine dive for Rhyme. There's implications that Minamimoto is from a different world. So in Another Day, it does this thing where it's supposed to be a story completely separate from the main game, and yet everyone has their power and doesn't really know what's going on, kind of. But Minamimoto is the one weird factor that he's observing things, and I thought that you could like switch your party, you know, put Minamimoto in instead of someone else, but you can't. But he's just observing things. But yeah, there's hints that he knows something's going on. Look at these stylish kids. Alright. So, oh, actually, I'm going to read the reports, and then we're going to try to beat the final boss again and get the secret ending. See what that's all about. I know that the secret ending for the first game was the stuff that led up to this, to the sequel. And then something I missed out was that Hanekawa was an angel. I was working with Joshua the whole time. That was something I missed completely. But yeah, let's see what these reports have for us. Oh wow, these are pages. Okay, let me take off the headphones so I can actually concentrate on the reading. 3 years have passed since the game that caught the attention of the higher plane. Observation is still ongoing, but from the UG, it looks as if Shibuya is on the brink of catastrophe once more. I am forbidden from intervening in the game this time, so I have to settle for recording and changing state of both the RG and the UG here in this report. The Executor first intruded on Shibuya 3 years ago, originally from Shinjuku. This angel started a clandestine game with Shibuya's composer, which ultimately led to Shinjuku's destruction. He should have been reprimanded as soon as he arrived in Shibuya, but elites are turning a blind eye for some reason. Possibly because most higher plane denizens still oppose Shibuya's impurification. Interesting. This game resembles said impurification in that it is subject to a set of extenuating circumstances, somehow keeping it in balance, which are as follows. 1. Difference of opinion and subsequent conflict on the subject of Shibuya's destruction. 2. The absence of the composer. 3. The game being played by 2 proxies. And 4. Direct interference by the Executor. Neither the Executor, who wishes for Shibuya to be destroyed and purified, nor the composer, who has managed to prevent this up until now, can directly intervene in the ongoings of the UG. If they wish to take action, they must do so via proxy. The Executor's proxy in this game is the conductor Shiba Miyakaze, and the composer is a human player, one Rindo Kanade. That makes sense. I will henceforth refer to Shiba Miyakaze as the conductor and Rindo Kanade as the proxy. Perhaps spurred by the appearance of the proxy, former Reaper Sho Minamimoto has resumed activity after an extended period of silence. Furthermore, I'm picking up vibes similar to those emitting from Shinjuku just before its purification. They are still faint, but I'll keep a close eye on them. So yeah, that makes sense. So the composer chose... Yeah, the composer chooses... chose Rindo, and then... Kubo chose Shiba. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they did explain that. With the proxy in place of acting composer, the game is affected in numerous ways, the most significant being the implementation of bogus rules by the conductor. One such rule is the division of players into teams, presumably adopted from Shinjuku's rulebook. Under the team system, whichever team earns the most points over the course of the week may choose to either continue playing or not. If they choose not to continue, they may return to the RG if they so desire. However, only the composer can send players back from the RG. The conductor has no right to implement such a rule and no ability to carry it out. As such, it is in the conductor's best interest for the winning team to choose to continue playing. To assure this will happen, he has allied himself with a team clearly intent on bringing the game continuing the game indefinitely, the Ruinbringers. Each team, wait, hold on. So either way, Shiba couldn't send people back. Huh. Okay. Each team's relative value is measured against the others using their scores, and a loss for the team is a loss for each individual within it. It is unclear when these rules were first implemented in Shinjuku, but what is clear is that they seem specifically designed to eliminate players counter to the objective of the game. Huh. So yeah, that was the thing about the beginning of the game that, like, I was very... I'm gonna give my thoughts as well reading these reports. That was very interesting, where... and kind of fucked up, where it was like, they're gonna continue to play no matter what, and the game was essentially broken from the beginning, since Rindo and everyone else, like, joined in. That the game was essentially on the Ruinbringer side, and that was the interesting part of, like, having this top team that in reality were just all Reapers. A new player has joined the Proxy's team. The inability of the composer and myself, the producer, to intervene puts Shibuya at a disadvantage. Who was the producer? Disadvantage, but this new recruit and Minamoto may help turn the tides. The team's new member, one Nagi Usui, is at once open-minded and closed off. Interestingly, this makes her the perfect foil for Tosai Furusawa. The healthy variety of personalities and abilities should benefit their team. The Proxy has started using his powers in earnest. I can scarcely believe someone could have such a powerful latent ability. Latent powers are unique, naturally occurring abilities awakened by tuning vibes. These vibes originate from the higher plane and resonate with the soul of an individual, tuning them into their dormant powers. Incidentally, these vibes are the same ones required to travel between planes. It is highly unusual for multiple players with latent powers to appear in succession. I suspect the pins found in the RG have been imbued with tuning vibes for the express purpose of seeking out such individuals. The more hands the pins make their way into, the greater the chance of finding promising new players. However, the Proxy's ability is a significant deviation from the standard latent powers. Excuse me. It is far too dangerous. If I could, I would have ensured it remain dormant, for the sake of both the UG and the RG. It has the potential to not only warp, but demolish the lower plane's code. I wonder if the composer foresaw this and chose his Proxy because of it. So what exactly is the purpose of the Reapers game? Let's review. The explicit goal of the game is to locate exceptional individuals. Players from superior imagination are elevated to the higher plane and made into Reapers or Angels to aid in oversight of their region. The UG is located on a higher plane than the RG. It is understood to be the afterlife, as the soul is modulated and relocated to the UG upon the death of the body in RG. However, the Proxy and his fellows were brought to the UG unmodulated. They have already begun to suspect that something is amiss in respect to both themselves and the Ruinbringers. The Reapers should be fighting for their lives, same as the players, but Shibuya's internal Reaper hierarchy is at total standstill. 3 years ago, Shibuya's acting composer and conductor carried out a game to determine Shibuya's fate. The events that foretold are now known as the Shibuya Impurification. The hierarchical freeze presumably stems from the opposition to the Impurification. I detect a new set of vibes in the UG at the end of the day. It seems those pins have awakened new powers within someone and modulated them for entry into the UG, just like the Proxy. This time, it is someone the composer and I know quite well. A turf war... Jesus. My ability to read. A turf war called the Scramble Slam has just taken place. The Ruinbringers declined to participate. If they had, they surely would have won, leading to a decrease in overall morale. I suspect this little diversion, which pits players against each other in place of noise, exists purely for entertainment of the conductor. This week marks the 104th game under the current conductor. Deep River Society, the Rare Beauties, and the Pure Hearts have all been subjected to at least 30... Holy shit, they've been there longer. Oh my god. Why? I mean, it makes sense, I guess, but Jesus. They're beginning to show signs of fatigue, presumably sensing the impossibility of victory against the Ruinbringers. I think that's why when you first met them, they were like, yeah, there's really nothing we can do. Like, we just try to go with the flow of things. But even then, like, they were coming to the end because it was just when Rindo got there, it was basically just those three: the Deep River Society, the Rare Beauties, and the Pure Hearts, aside from the Ruinbringers. But those were like the human players that were just there. So either way, like they were coming to an end. Perceiving the game as unwinnable has a marked negative effect on players' well-being. The Proxies team may be able to avoid coming in last place, but the odds of them toppling the Ruinbringers to claim victory are slim. Although anything can happen in this game, they may surprise me yet. Minamoto has become aware of Proxy's powers and seems to be plotting something. I mean, yeah, that's been Minamoto like since the beginning. The Proxy soul is beginning to change. Strangely, its evolution trends towards stagnation rather than development. It is almost as if the range of his vibes is shrinking. I believe this may be due in part to his readiness to adopt the opinions of and values of others, mistakenly believing them as his own. He seems to do this entirely unconsciously. He may never realize it's happening. Under ordinary circumstances, players in Shibuya's game pay an entry fee upon arrival, through which the composer offers them a chance to re-examine themselves. This game has no entry fee. The Shinjuku rules neither encourage nor allow for personal growth or change, making the game just that, a mere competition to collect points to prove one's worth. The Proxy stagnant soul makes him the perfect user for his latent abilities. For better or for worse, he is able to maintain abnormally high levels of imagination, thereby increasing the accuracy of each replay. The pieces fit together almost too perfectly. I can only hope I'm overthinking it. The Deep River Society has been erased in accordance with the rules of the game. The souls of all members, including the leader, are gone. Their erasure runs counter to the goal of judging each player's abilities, but it is unsurprising, considering the conductor's intentions. Upon witnessing their erasure, the Proxy's vibes have weakened once again. His increasingly hardened emotional state may be cause for concern. As suspected, the individual who arrived in the Proxy's moment of need was the source of the vibes I detected a few days ago. It does not appear as if the conductor had a hand in the sudden appearance of our old friend. In sharp contrast to the ever-active executor, the composer is seemingly biding his time. Although I'm unable to make contact to confirm, I believe the reappearance of this particular individual works in Shibuya's favor. Minamoto, on the other hand, has all but vanished from the Proxy's side. His noise refinery sigil drastically heightens his imagination, which may be why he can clearly recognize the Proxy's ability. I have an idea of what he's planning. It's dangerous, but I have no way of stopping him. Incidentally, all the noise refinery sigil is reproduction copied from the original by a certain Reaper. Its completeness or lack thereof may be a factor in the subtle change in Minamoto's fundamental vibes. 4 teams remain: the Ruinbringers, the Pure Hearts, and the Very Beauties, and the Wicked Twisters. One may survive and emerge victorious. At long last, the game approaches to its conclusion. According to Shinjuku's rules, incoming players' abilities must be exceeded the total average imagination of the current player for them to be allowed into the game. As the game continues and low-ranking teams are eliminated, the average rises, making it more and more difficult for newcomers to enter. With Deep River Society gone and the Wicked Twisters' impressive latent abilities, the average imagination has increased dramatically. Only an immensely powerful player could be pulled in at this point. It can be safely assumed that the game will continue and conclude with no more than the current set of players. The game will continue into the week after next at longest, but the conductor has yet to contact the composer. It is possible he is unaware of the Higher Planes purification protocol. If all goes according to the conductor's plan, he himself will be the victor of this game. Our new arrival has joined the Proxy's team, almost as if filling the hole that Minamoto left. Well, that's kind of right. As if filling the hole left by Minamoto. Daiseku no Daisuke no Daiseku. I can't say his name. I wonder why I'm flopping on his name. God damn. Daisuke no Jo Bito. It's not that hard. Dissect. I'm doing it again. Beat. All right. Also known as Beat. Daisuke no Jo Bito. There we go. Was a player in the game leading to Shibuya's impurification. His fortitude is remarkable, as is his soul and imagination. He should prove a powerful ally to the proxy. So, my question is, well, Beat said that he was kind of just like wandering in, and then he just showed up. And yet the proxy's soul remains stagnant, but perhaps it would be more accurate to say it has stagnated further. I felt a similar shift 8 days ago when Minamoto joined the team. If this is the fundamental immaturity of the proxy's soul, it will be difficult to bring to light, unlike Neku's leading up to the impurification. The proxy initiated another replay today. The resulting drastic increase in planar distortions indicate that at this rate, an explosive increase is likely after only a few more uses. However, the proxy's pin is effectively absorbing the distortions, preventing the UG and lower planes from being affected at this time. All of the Reapers stationed in Shibuya, including the conductor, would ordinarily be referred to as Shibuya's Reapers, but ongoing conflict has caused those from Shinjuku to be called Shinjuku Reapers. Shinjuku's inversion 3 years ago jump-started its purification, forcing the Reapers there to flee to Shibuya. An inversion happens when the boundary between the UG and the RG is destroyed, forcing a purification. It occurs, albeit incredibly rarely, when the composer and conductor fail to agree on the purification. The composer's permission is not required for a Reaper to continue working in a new area. Such transfers are left up to the conductor. In this case, Shibuya's temporary conductor at the time authorized the transfer of all the Shibuya authorized the transfer of all Reapers from Shinjuku to Shibuya. I detect no signs nor vibes of the Shinjuku conductor at present. I assume he was destroyed along with Shinjuku. Once the purification has begun, it is standard for a conductor to be invited up to the higher plane. There is almost no evidence of a mass personnel transfer after the erasure of a conductor in the past. Almost. Upon reviewing the records, I managed to find 4 cases where the affected area had fallen into imbalance before its purification was decided. One of these cases is Shibuya's impurification. The composer should file a report on the circumstances leading up to Shinjuku's purification at some point, although I doubt he'll do a thorough job of it, considering his disinterest in the lower planes. With Shibuya's composer giving his tactic approval to the Shinjuku Reapers, Shibuya's Reapers have no choice but to follow the rules given to them. Regardless of the true circumstances, Shiba Miyakaze has effectively become the conductor through legal means, as he was judged to be fit for the role. Yeah, because originally it was Uzuki that became the composer. I'm sorry, the conductor. Excuse me. Yeah, and then kind of usurped her position. Yeah, I remember. Restlessness builds among the team's leaders, and the proxy's psychological state is far from optimal. I can only hope he will last the week. The team's base groove is abnormally low. In a system built around teamwork, such irregularities are certain to have a major effect on the outcome of the game. A network called the RNS was created specifically for this game. The ease with which it measures each individual's vibes and imagination makes it a useful tool for the management of both players and Reapers. However, making this information viewable also makes it accessible from the RG, and that's how rhyme with it. Okay. It can only be found by those who know of the UG's existence and are sufficiently proficient with networks. No modulation is required to communicate between planes this way, though it is yet unclear if other issues arise as a result. It's possible that communicating through the network could inhibit imagination, just as the full meaning and imagination of a work of art cannot be captured on a screen. I'm no longer active as Cat, but if and when I resume. So wait, this is Hanekawa? Oh, Hanekawa's writing this. Because that was his alias in the first game. Am I saying his name correctly? Isn't it Mr. H? All I remember is Mr. H. Oh, Mr. H. Yeah, Hanekawa. Hanekoma, excuse me. Hanekoma. Oh man, I've been saying his name wrong the whole time. Well, Mr. H. We'll just call him Mr. H. That was Hanekawa. Hanekoma. As Cat, but if and when I resume, I must keep in mind how my work will be perceived when shared digitally and alter my methods of expression accordingly. Perhaps the developer of the RNS could provide me with some insight in that regard. So my thing is, if they knew Kubo was a problem, they just left it as is? Where was I? 113? No. 112? Okay, I was on 11. Alright, 12. There has been a change in the proxy's psychological state, as well as an improvement to the relations between the members of his team. Improvement of the relations between the members of his team. This is good news. However, the proxy still remains stagnant as ever. I have yet to fully analyze the stagnation, as I am currently unable to take any action beyond observing and hoping for the best. By Shinjuku's rules, Reapers are limited in the actions they may take. Of course, obstructing players is not allowed on a basic level. The primary enemies that the players face are other players, namely those on opposing teams. Thus, any team aiming for the top must go through the Runebringers. The proxy and his team are making a different approach against the seemingly unbeatable Runebringers. To what extent it goes against the rules of the game remains to be seen. I doubt the conductor will sit idly by, and let them do as they please. If he is forced to make a move, things will either end very well or very poorly. As previously stated, Reapers are not allowed to interfere in the game, and yet one of them is currently doing just that. It's possible that Reaper status will be stripped from her, but where will that leave her once the game is over? Are they talking about Shoko? The leader of the Pure Hearts, one Motoi Onizawa, has gotten himself into a dire predicament. While alive and online, he found himself a loyal follower in the proxy. If Motoi Onizawa is to face erasure, it would likely have a significant effect on the proxy. Though to what extent remains to be seen. Online communication can result in negative or positive outcomes, just the same as face-to-face communication. However, the opacity and anonymity accompanying digital communication leaves its participants more susceptible to misunderstanding. It must have been quite a shock for the proxy to see Motoi Onizawa's true nature, which was invisible to him online. Yeah, because he was a shit poster. Well, not a shit poster, but he was a guy that reposted stuff without crediting. Like people on Twitter or people on Instagram, those meme sites. As predicted, Shoka Sakurane has been demoted from Reaper to player as punishment for meddling in the game and directly assisting players. Directly. Reapers face very few restrictions on the RNS. They may interact with the RG freely so long as they do not reveal their identities. Oh, so basically that's why she couldn't respond to. Or no, even then, Rindo was like very hesitant on asking her like, "Where are you? Like, where are you playing? Like, which team are you on?" But even then, Shoka couldn't just been like, "Yeah, that's me." She couldn't necessarily do that. But even then, they still realized that she was meddling, and they were like, "Nah, girl." But should they be demoted, their account is deleted and a separate player account takes its place. With her old account deactivated, Shoka Sakurane is no longer able to interact with the proxy as his online friend, unless she chooses to reveal herself as such. She has aided the proxy via messaging up to now, but with that option no longer available to her, her next course of action is unclear. So yeah, that was the thing, the whole argument of that involved Ayano and Shiba being like, don't do this. Like, why are you so hard-headed on helping them? Well, that's interesting. So, the conductor has made his intentions known to the players, although it would be impossible for him to carry out his goal of destroying Shibuya merely as the conductor. He believes himself to be the executor as well, sent from the higher plane to purify the city. The Pure Hearts have been erased as expected. Only 2 teams remain, discounting the Runebringers. With the Runebringers' true nature revealed, it is likely that the rules will change next game to reflect that the players stand to oppose the Reapers rather than each other. I have detected unique vibes emanating from a certain inanimate object. I found it odd that the old stuffed animal should show up, but as it turns out, it is temporarily housing a distorted soul. Sugumi. Yeah. Shinjuku's conductor saved the soul in its... Wait. Shinjuku's conductor saved the soul in... How am I saying in? The soul it contains, paying the price with his own erasure. Oh! Okay. I guess. An angel's power is needed to free the captive soul, but there is still no sign of the composer. And I am forbidden from meddling in the game. Huh, weird. Ow. I doubt the executor would be willing to help, considering he most likely trapped it in there to begin with. Our only available option are to leave the soul imprisoned or locate someone else with the means to release it. I suspect the original creator of the stuffed animal, a player who managed to return to the RG 3 years ago, would be able to assist. Unfortunately, she is currently absent from Shibuya. So, when they needed Shinji. The game's rules have changed significantly. Players, as well as Reapers or even the conductor, may erase their opponents after defeating them. At the same time, the rules changed. Shiba made an unforeseen move against Shibuya, and inversion is underway. The noise released by the conductor have destabilized the code of the entire Shibuya region. The lower planes, including the UG and the RG, are particularly unsteady. The code is a set of laws that bind together the souls that make up of all existence. Make up all of existence. Excuse me. Man, can't read. Think of it as the screws which hold everything together. Some Shibuya screws are loose, and the others have been removed altogether, leaving nothing to support the city but its own weight. In other words, Shibuya is on the brink of collapse. The deterioration of the boundary between the RG and the UG is being hastened by rapidly multiplying noise. If the boundary is lost, the city will be torn apart and purified. There are many in the higher plane who believe normal purification has no meaning, as it maintains the existing planar framework. Excuse me. However, it is generally agreed that inversion should not be utilized due to the complete loss of character the affected area undergoes as its framework is destroyed and rebuilt. And yet, the composer maintains his silence as Shibuya faces the same fate as Shinjuku before. While Shibuya has undergone dramatic changes, the proxy psychological state is surprisingly stable. This could be interpreted as positive personal growth as he has come to understand the situation he has been placed in, as well as what actions to take in response. Choka Sakurane has joined the Proxy's team. Her extraordinary powers should make her a fine addition. One of Shinjuku's conductors has been eliminated. I suspect the conductor saw this coming. Angels emit vibes strong enough to alter the minds of those in lower planes. Reportedly, many Shinjuku Reapers have sensed a change in Shiba Miyakazu's personality over time. I wonder how he will feel about all this after the executor leaves and allows him to return to his former self. The Proxy has now used the replay ability 8 times. His pin absorbing the resulting planar distortions and changing appearance with each use. Which each use. I was about to combine use at. At present, there are no apparent adverse effects. I'm concerned about the physical changes to the Proxy's pin. It may indicate some kind of fundamental difference from the other pin. Perhaps replay isn't a latent ability at all. It is far too powerful and would make much more sense as a gift bestowed upon the Proxy via the pin. The player pins were almost certainly made by the executor. As an angel, he would be able to prepare special pins at will. It is unclear when and how the Proxy acquired his pin. Logically, it must have been on the day he arrived at the EG. All I know for certain is that several factors influencing the Proxy's fate were in play that day. In any case, to give him such a pin, knowing he is the composer's Proxy, would be either incredibly brave or incredibly insolent. Huh. The very beauties have been erased. This is a major blow to the Proxy's team, as Kana and Tachibana provided them with vital emotional support. Tosai Furusawa's soul is clearly the most heavily affected, despite his fundamental evasiveness and unwillingness to show his true feelings. Once experience leads one to hold a certain belief, it is unclear to alter that mindset. This often leads to bitterness and anguish. I wonder just how much of his bitterness Tosai Furusawa will be able to bear facing. The answer may very well depend on the Proxy and his teammates. Still, this is no time for idle talk. The Proxy team is the only one left. The conductor is oddly fixated on the team's unstable state. I would go so far as to say he seems more concerned with his enemies than the battle itself. As events unfold, it is not unthinkable that he might join forces with the Proxy. With the conductor's plans laid bare, every Reaper, particularly the Shibuya Reapers, will be forced to choose a side. Some of them who know what I am occasionally try to contact me. Some of them who know what I am occasionally try to contact me, but I cannot respond. Okay, sorry, I don't know why that felt weird to say. The Shibuya Reapers will need to grow and adapt if they are to overcome this. My old cafe on Cat Street, the one that served as my base 3 years ago, is always open to them. I hear that they drop by on occasion. Notably, the faint vibes I felt from Shinjuku have returned to their full former strength. Someone is coming, someone who can help decide Shibuya's fate. So this was laid up to Yep. I was about to say too. Neku Sakuraba has returned to Shibuya, as I suspected. The vibes I picked up 17 days ago were his. Being the last team standing has provided the Wicked Twisters with a sense of unity. But Daisuke Nojo Bito. But Daisuke Nojo Bito appears to believe it is his sole responsibility to carry the team. I can't say he's wrong in his actions towards Minamoto. but the fact remains that he most likely would have been erased by the X-Reaper had Neku not arrived. The team had narrowly avoided disaster, but let's hope they can carry on the momentum. Yeah, that's true. Neku basically saved Beat. Minamoto's focus was purely on the planar distortions when he turned half noise and went berserk. He may not be able to clearly measure the distortion from the UG, but that he can sense them at all is an impressive feat. I suspect he is also becoming aware of the distortions within himself, along with the fact that these distortions should be undetectable from the UG. But that was the thing, is who was able to see the birds? It was Beat was able to see them. Yeah, Beat and Rindo and Neku and Minamoto. Yeah, they were the only ones that were able to see the distortions. Minamoto's focus was hold on. Okay, Minamoto seems to have come to the same conclusion I have. Replay is too powerful an ability to be wielded by one from the lower planes. I'm beginning to piece together the Executor's plan. One more thing that concerns me is this Proxy Soul. Its stagnation has returned in full force just when it seemed it might finally fade away. There must be some cause for this, be it the proxy sphere of Minamoto or uncertainty surrounding his own interactions with Neku. Neku Sakuraba has joined forces with the proxy. The composer had sent him from Shibuya into Shinjuku during its purification, presumably to have him handle the situation there and keep him isolated and safe from those who were targeting him for his abilities. As for the proxy, his soul remains stagnant. I have yet to identify what exactly is preventing its growth. This would be much simpler if I could sit down and talk with him. After repeated demands, I have finally obtained the report on Shinjuku's purification. On the surface, the game involved a conflict between the Conductor and the Reapers. In actuality, the composer, eager to purify Shinjuku, planted the Executor amongst the Reapers to oppose and take down the Conductor. Huh. Wait, this explains why the Conductor was erased and the Reapers transferred to the area. Hold on. So yeah, Haz is the composer. That I kind of figured. Oh, okay. I kind of remember he did say that Kubo was going a little too far. That's why he exercised him. Yeah, composer eager to purify Shinjuku, planted the Executor among the Reapers to oppose and take down the Conductor. The Conductor was erased and Reapers transferred to a new area. But wait, who was I don't think that necessarily matters. Oh, wait, hold on. Tsugumi Matsune had her suspicions about the Executor, so he sealed her soul away to be safe. She was once a Reaper through the Executor's removed... Though the Executor removed her status after she allied herself with her older brother, Shinjuku's... Oh, so her brother was the Conductor. So that's why she was saved. Oh. Where's your copy of Neo Tui Let me put down something. Here's a link. No. There's the link. Also, a lot of there's spoilers too. Oh, that's weird. I have to fix this later. Shit. Did I fix what the... Yeah, okay. I still put Neo 2, but... Oh, we have to change the title. Okay. So... Tsugumi's brother was the conductor of Shinjuku. In Shinjuku, you lose your Reaper status is to be erased. Knowing he was defeated, Shinjuku's conductor used the last of his strength to save his sister's soul in a stuffed animal. That stuffed animal belonged to one Shiki Misaki. Shibuya Reaper must have taken it to Shinjuku. Did she leave it behind? Yeah, you should probably get out of here. There's a lot of spoilers. I'm literally reading the end. And I'm gonna get the secret ending. Foolish Burry. Go buy your own copy. And then play it, and then come back and let me know what you think of it. Either way, I give this game a 10 out of 10. So, there you go. There's Chonch's thoughts. As a result, Tsugumi Natsume became a lone survivor of Shinjuku's purification, once more a Reaper, but sealed away and closely monitored by the Executor. So that's why she was like this weird robot. She acted through no will of her own, as her soul was trapped by noise. Oh god. However, she was still able to send messages to the proxy using her latent trailer ability. The noise binding her is now gone. If damage to her plush vessel can be fixed, her soul will be free. So the visions that Rindo was getting was from Tsugumi, right? I'm understanding that correctly. The Shibuya River is known to be a unique place, even amongst the entities of the higher plane. Its source is in Shinjuku, meaning it should have disappeared in the purification. And yet, it continues to flow unseen in its own plane. What an excellent idea to hide souls there to spare them from purification. Kaiichi Suzuki loved the game and cared for his compatriots more than any other Shinjuku Reaper. His actions leave no room for doubt. So, even then, Suzukichi knew about that specific area, and that's why he trapped Shoka and the rest of them in there to keep them safe before the worlds collided. Okay, yeah, I kind of get it. That was very nice of him. That's the thing about Suzukichi, is that like he wasn't evil, he was just chaotic. Yeah, he was just chaotic. Most of the Shinjuku Reapers maintained the close bonds they shared back in Shinjuku. I know not what kind of Reaper Shiba Miyakaze was before being warped by the Executor, but judging by the Shinjuku Reaper's unflinching devotion to him, he must have been exceptionally charismatic. It is yet unknown if Shiba Miyakaze will be released from the Executor's influence at the end of the game, even if he does manage to return to his former self. He will be forced to face the tragic reality that the loss of his friends was brought about by his own actions. Neku Sakuraba is wary of the proxy's powers. The pin continues to endlessly absorb and generate distortions. Absorb, but not destroy. They are likely being stored for some purpose. I wonder what the composer thinks of all this. There's no sign of movement from him. Does he have a plan at all? Tomorrow will tell. The planar distortions caused by replay were all part of the Executor's plan to purify Shibuya. The condition of the proxy and his comrades has taken a sudden turn for the worse. The ability to turn distorted energy into noise is entirely unique. It is likely latent to the Executor, either allowing him to create noise or granting him some comparable power. In essence, the distortions were once souls. They manifested from the thoughts and lost time of those whose timelines were cut off from canonical history. The proxy's pin stores the distortions born from each abandoned timeline, causing them to behave similarly to their source thoughts and birth new distortions. In other words, the pin allows the distortions to grow and multiply with each journey back in time. The birds the proxy saw are new distortions spawned from those stored in the pins, given an order compliant and readily storable form. Generally, souls need a catalyst in order to take form. The Executor's pin must be the catalyst in this case, generating noise in advance and transplanting the distortion's imagination into them. The Executor is exceptionally adept at handling noise. There is a strong possibility that the noise's present bird form is temporary and will change at some point. If its change is undefined and constantly changing, the proxy and his team have a tough battle ahead of them. Shibuya is in grave danger. So yeah, that's the thing that I kind of liked about like the whole twist of this game, that there were consequences for Rindo's power, and that was essentially the end of the world. So yeah, 22, 23, 24, okay. Shibuya has received a new visitor, one that even the composer must not have expected. It's the very same individual who drew up the report on Shinjuku's inversion. But why would he have come to Shibuya? Probably not to take care of the executor. Whatever business he may have, Tanzo Kubo can wait until after the purification. It seems Shinjuku's composer, one Hazuki Mikagi, has eliminated the executor's noise and given the proxy another chance. I have an idea as to why. Shibuya's composer must be shaking his head right now. So is that why Joshua showed up? Yeah. I've finally determined what was causing the proxy soul to stagnate. His fear of taking responsibility. Yeah, so this is what I really liked, and I really thought that Rindo was such a good character. Because he was just going along with the flow of things and like leaving things up to like his friends to make the decisions for him. When reliable allies such as Minamoto, Daisuke Nojobito, and Neku Sakuraba appeared and took the reins, the relief of being freed from responsibility stilled in the proxy's mind. So that was the thing. They kept mentioning about how lucky they were in having like the old, like people who played the game originally, but that kind of led, I guess, to what Mr. H is saying is the stagnation of the character of Rindo being a leader. And that's the thing that I really like about this game, is that like Rindo actually became a leader. Yeah, it's really good. Ironic that it was famously unsympathetic composer of Shinjuku that led me to this conclusion. Yeah, it's funny. Shibuya now owes its continued existence to the proxy's use of replay to undo its destruction. It is up to the proxy to decide whether or not to turn back time. He undeniably has that right. Shibuya has withstood destruction but now stands to face an even greater danger. The challenge before us is one we cannot refuse. The proxy's team faced a giant bird-shaped noise. It was reborn from the unstable black bird noise, which were destroyed at the order level and reassembled. This is a clear act of interference by the Shinjuku's composer. It allowed the proxy and his team to focus all their efforts on one target. Each feather of the phoenix's tail is a karmic representation of a single temporal reversal. Perhaps the manifestation of the Shinjuku's composer's internal conflict. He has clearly taken an interest in the proxy and his teammates. Yet his desire to see Shibuya purified is unchanged. I believe that his interference dealing with the Executor, contacting the proxy, and meddling with the distortions was more than a simple apology to Shibuya. It provided the perfect excuse for Shibuya's composer to make a direct move on his own. However, Shibuya's composer failed to take the bait, remaining inactive to the very end. His reasoning for appearing to Neku, Sakuraba, and the others as they connected to Shibuya's imagination was not to help them, but merely to stabilize Neku Sakuraba's mind by reminding him he was there. Okay, that makes sense. A look over the vibes recorded by the RNS reveals no evidence of any outside interference. The Proxy's team defeated the Phoenix Cantus through their own and Shibuya's strength. So yeah, that was when Joshua just showed up. Now that the game is over, I finally have the permission to contact the composer. Several days have passed since then, and the composer has already completed 2 orders of business. One of them concerns Neku Sakuraba. Using a sample from a parallel world, one where Neku never really went to Shinjuku, and instead lived peacefully in RG for 3 years, the composer modified the space and memories around Neku so that he may once again reside in RG without issue. This is not particularly unusual, as the same steps must be taken when returning Reaper to the RG. The other order of business concerns Shoko Sakurane. Her Reaper status loss, her destruction at the end of the game was all but assured. However, the composer saved her soul at the precise moment it diffused for deletion. She has been reborn in the RG in Shibuya. I believe this is a rare expression of gratitude on the composer's part, gratitude towards Proxy, that is. Oh, yeah, when Joshua was like, he's out there now. The Proxy has also returned safely to his life in the RG. Through him, I have learned much about the network as a simulated plane of existence, as well as its effects on human emotion. There is no denying it is used as a tool to expand one's world. However, it is up to the user to explore the experience that expanded world for themselves, lest it remains mere simulation. Enjoy the present and keep moving forward. Perhaps by refusing to interfere, the composer meant to convey to Shibuya the importance of accepting your circumstances and taking action yourself. I have one final note directed at Proxy Rindo Kanade. The decision you made took courage, and I thank you for it. I sincerely hope we can meet in person someday. Oh, Mr. H. Alright, yeah. So those are the files report. Yeah, that's interesting. That's more of an insight on, like, I guess more to like the Shinjuku Reapers. But yeah, it's still interesting that like Hanekoma is like still watching, essentially, but he can't interfere. So we gotta fight the final boss, and we get the secret end. Yeah, we just gotta fast forward through this. Power of fast forwarding.
What to do? We're going again!
Ugh. We have to do this. But that was one of the interesting things, is that like, and there's Joshua. It's so weird though. Like everyone's motives. I think that's the one weird part about some of the characters. I'll just skip over that. That's fine. Because like, why did Haas come here? I know his thing was to like actually stop Kubo because he felt like Kubo was stepping over the line. And then on top of that, Minamimoto just being, I mean, he was always weird, but like, just like, yeah, I'm gonna observe you and then use the power for my own benefit, but at the same time, not use it. Okay, here we go. Great. Gotta go through multiple phases.
Like my humble contribution.
Do I get to listen to the best fucking final boss theme?
Feeling better?
Yes, got it.
Good enough. No foes can fell me.
Or me. Don't forget about me. That all you got, Penny?
Not all per se.
That's like a C plus.
Fuck, dude. It's such a good
Feeling better?
final boss theme.
Hang on. Good enough.
Thanks for the assist. That's what I'm here for. Gotcha. Keep it up, brother. Let's keep it up.
Understood.
All right. That was sick. Thanks for the assist. That's what I'm here for.
Let's heal up.
So far, so good. Let's keep it going.
Feeling better? We mustn't falter.
Booyah!
Turn my headphones up. Turn my headphones up.
Feeling better already. Hey, no stopping us now.
Good enough. Let's heal up. Fight on.
Perfecto. Gotcha. We've got this. Booyah! Let's keep it up. Not bad, yo.
Phew.
Feeling better already.
Ignite.
How's that?
Better than expected. I've returned to the
Ain't no stopping us now.
most spectacular. Feeling better? Feeling better? Anyways, fight on. Ignite!
Okay. Phase 1 done.
Is it over? Did we beat it?
Is victory ours at last?
Hold up. Something ain't right.
You're right. Look.
What in the world is it doing? doing? I am so ready for this to be over.
Well, it ain't over yet.
Oh, seriously?
Risen from the ashes. Is it immortal?
I don't think so. Let's finish this.
For real! Just keep hitting it till it stays down, yo! Move, y'all! Get out of the way!
We must weather this storm! Just gotta wait for an opening.
Well, we haven't got all day here. Is it over?
Not yet.
Now's our time to strike back.
I am. Tails.
Take this, yo! It's all my fault. For turning back time. What are you talking about, Rin, dude? None of us would even be here if it weren't for you! Yeah. Good point. Nailed it! You're on a roll!
Beach feather, a step closer to victory.
It's working!
We shan't rest until its fate is sealed.
Give it to me.
Perfecto! Gonna blow you away!
Let's heal up.
Damn! Could you have made this thing any tougher, yo?
My bad.
Hey, quit apologizing and start attacking!
Okay.
Feeling better? Was my humble contribution good enough? Just doing my job.
Thanks for the assist!
Was nothing.
We're almost there. Everybody ready?
I am. It's my responsibility to make things right.
Rindo.
This city isn't going anywhere!
Good. Let's go.
Fuck, dude. It's so good.
Nailed it!
Not bad. Feeling better?
Keep it up, B! I got you!
Die already!
Just a little more. We've got this! Don't let up now!
Gotta say, Rindo, you sure have changed.
Huh?
Yeah, you're finally making your own decisions.
Hell yeah, I am!
Don't let your guard down.
Roger that, yo!
Feeling better? Onward, soldiers!
Almost there! Keep it up, B! I got you!
It's above. There it goes.
How's that? I think this is it.
It is. So don't screw it up.
Yeah! Let's go.
Ah, you bitch. You were invincible for like a bit. Oh fuck. Yep, that was guaranteed.
Let's heal up.
Exquisite timing.
You're welcome.
Gonna blow you away. One last hit. Everybody ready?
Verily!
Let's make it count, yo.
You know I will.
This is it. We're gonna take back this city.
I'll hold it. I really like that. I still really like that. You know, replaying this and also trying to get like the secret files. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's still chaotic as fuck, but it's not as bad. Especially given the fact that I have leveled up a good while. I still gotta see, god damn it.
Well, at least we survived.
Say that again. Ugh.
All I'm saying.
Fuck you, Josh.
Wait, Shiva.
Everybody gets their happy ending. Did Josh refer to like people as strays? Because that's what he says, right? He's like, I put her along with the other strays.
Oh, sorry.
Very cute. There we go.
A bit late to come groveling back.
wouldn't you say, friend?
My apologies, friend. I never intended Shibuya any harm. But rest assured that as Shinjuku's composer, I have personally eliminated the cause of the problem. Is that enough to earn your forgiveness?
I appreciate you exercising the executor from the UG. But you really ought to be more scrupulous when engaging with the lower planes. Nobody likes a messmaker.
And all this time, I thought I was following in your footsteps.
Then you might need to watch where you're walking. Speaking of which, I saw you took a stroll around the city. Did you and Rindo have an illuminating conversation?
Weren't you watching?
Only a little.
I offered him an apology and asked him a few questions.
What about?
I thought he might understand why you opposed Shibuya's cleansing, so I asked what he thought about the city, hoping to glean some insight.
Another mess finally made. And was it insightful?
Not to the extent I would have liked. I still don't understand. Humans are the most irrational beings. That said, I was a bit surprised myself with how our conversation ended. For some reason, the boy was ready to risk everything for an unproven possibility. And all I could do was remind him to take responsibility for whatever decision he made. Almost as if I were encouraging him to take that risk.
Sounds like you acted a bit irrationally yourself.
I did indeed. Even entrusted him with that powerful pin, if you can believe it.
Well, you aren't alone. I too have fallen victim to that irrationality before.
Why do you think that is?
I can't say for sure, but one thing I've noticed is that every time I watch them try to overcome the absurdity of their world, I just can't help but hope they succeed.
That's great. That's a good wallpaper. Let's go. Okay. We did it. That's it. We got the secret ending. That's the end of Neo Twiwi. Still a really good game. It just only led a little bit more of me disliking Joshua because they're just god figures at that point, and you know, they just like watching, I want to say the suffering of humanity, but they just like the entertainment of it. But I guess it's their own way of like being like, humans are interesting. Yeah. That was the thing is about Haas, is that like Haas, when he appeared, I initially thought that he was like just Joshua, and I was kind of right. He is the composer, right? Yes, he is the composer. So he is pretty much just Joshua, but I guess like another version of him. But yeah, I guess that was an interesting conversation of just them being like, yeah, even though like we try to see humanity overcome their obstacles, it's kind of enjoyable to watch, but at the same time you want to root for them, you know, especially ones that are so interesting. So it makes sense in the sense of Neku from the first game and Rindo now. But yeah, it's weird at the fact that they keep trying to do this whole thing of erasing the world and putting humanity in the hands of just these weirdos, these buffoons. But yeah, that was the one thing that I really did like, is you got to see Rindo grow as a character, and obviously the reports state they just track his growth, and yeah, Rindo's a really good character. You know, I liked Neku from the beginning, because he was very closed off, didn't really trust anyone, and then with using the whole partner thing and meeting Beat, meeting Shiki, creating these bonds, Neku started to open up, and I like Neku because of that. It was very, I want to say slight, but it was like, it was to a point where it's like, yeah, I kind of believe that he's just this weird kid that keeps to himself a lot, and under these circumstances of life or death, or death or death, he, you know, has to trust others. And in this, it's nice to see Rindo originally just going along with the flow and letting others make the decisions for him, and then him actually making a decision for himself, whether or not like it was the right thing to do. Let me rephrase that. He made the decision to go back once more because he knew that he was leaving his friends behind, and those were people that really stuck with him through the thick and thin. So yeah, I really like that he became a leader, essentially. Great. It's fucking, I think this game's really good. I'm restating what I said in my review at the end of the game, but I that's all I can say is just play the first game and then play this, because this game is so worth it, especially if you played the first game. Yeah, it just improves on a lot of the things from the first game. So good. So good. Alright, with that said, that's it for Neo Tooie. That crosses off the list. What a trip. What a trip, and what a great trip back to the Shibuyas. It was nice to reconnect and make new connections. And that's all I can say. It's a good old time. They gotta stop with that dumb Reapers game. So yeah. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll be back with something else. Play the Twiwies. That's all I can say. Alright. Bye-bye.